afternoon. My name is Paul York. Quijano, because my cousin invited me here to come and speak about post-traumatic stress disorder. And it started, he was just emailing me and said, hey, do you know anything about the disability of post-traumatic stress disorder and what the military is going through, and not just the military, but the civilian side of the house? And I said, yeah, you know. So we're just emailing each other. Next thing I know, I'm here. Anyway, I was in the Navy for 23 years. Of honorable service. Honorable means you never got caught. And I started my career, I was a hospital corpsman, which is like the medical side of the Navy. And some people say if you're in the Navy, you're actually on ships, but I was 12 years out of my 23 years was with the Marine Corps side of the house. So I was either medic, for the Marines. Retired 2008 out of Great Lakes, Illinois. I was an instructor. And I retired, and my wife brought me to West Virginia. So that's where now I reside, is in West Virginia. I have 3 kids, one 8-year-old girl, and twins, 4-year-old boy and girl. So the subject is obviously post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's the myth and misconception. But some of this is, some of the slides that I'm going to go through is to lead up to the topic of the myth and the misconception of PTSD. Some of the slides are graphic, and some of it are combat pictures, and some of it actually are like accidents from the civilian. And also I wanted to say that I'm here to raise awareness of PTSD. I'm not here to protest the war. I'm not here to ping on the VA or anything like that. It's just awareness to the public and educate. So, all right, this is the definition of post-traumatic stress disorder. Definition: an acute emotional response to a traumatic event or situation involving severe environmental stress, such as natural disasters, airplane crash, serious automobile accidents, military combat, and also physical torture. All right, the origins of post-traumatic stress disorder are people who work in the first responders, EMT, fire department, police. And my brother back there is an ex-Marine, so he said he's a first responder. First responder. Disasters, obviously, the accidents, rape, abuse, and obviously combat. So this is how the major things that you can that can cause or origins of post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, PTSD in combat side of the house. PTSD used to be known during the Civil War as the soldier's heart, because the soldier would come home and he said, hey, he's just speaking out of his heart, out what he felt in his heart. And then during World War I, it was shell shock, and then going into World War II in Korea, it was known as combat fatigue. And then after Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, up to Operation Iraqi Freedom. Now it's called post-traumatic stress disorder. And then now the Army side of the house, since they're a big organization, they're trying to label it adjustment disorder, or they're just going to cut out the D out of it. It's just going to be post-traumatic stress. Because and then some of the veterans who are, D, can be disabled, but the big Army, they're going to cut out the D because they says D means for dollars. So they want to And then obviously in the civilian side of the house, when you get after an accident, or a police officer does a shooting, or after a fireman goes on the rescue, there's that person is just shaken up, shocked, he's just numb. He's just stressed out, and he's just angry about what happened yesterday, so on and so forth, the incidents that happened in the news or whatsoever. Any questions so far? All right, the journey of PTSD, usually from the military side of the house, obviously you go to boot camp, and then you deploy. Right before you deploy, there's like a pre-screening now that they do. And what they do is obviously you get your shots, and then they'll have a screening for you, like a questionnaire, a pre-mental health questionnaire. And then you deploy, you fly out, like, it's a jet age. So from here, you'll be in the combat zone in 15 to 24 hours, depending on where you stop. Okay? And then you deploy with your unit, has a group. So that group will be deployed for like 6 to 9 months up to a year, depending on the type of unit and your assignment is going to be. And the civilian side of the house, obviously they go to their academies and training and goes back to boot camp. You have to be physically fit, and you gear up and you prepare for your job, and then you practice your jobs, and then you do drills for the civilian side of the house to prepare to go to your mission. Okay. All right, in the combat environment, there's a lot of downtime. People think combat is like go, 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 go. Well, they have to wait for intelligence and so on and so forth before they actually go on the mission. So there's a lot of downtime. So downtime means that people are, writing letters, playing volleyball, playing football. So just sitting around. Nowadays, PlayStation. Now they have Facebook and stuff like that. And that's actually where a lot of the Marines. I can only speak for Marines because that's all I've been assigned to is the Marine Corps side of the house. So no offense to the Army or the other service, but I can't speak for them what they do. So a lot of them actually get hurt more sitting around than doing their mission. Okay, so they get bored and they'll just do stuff like, beat up each other, wrestling, and next thing you know, they're hurt. And then right before they go on their missions. And then that mission as a whole, it could last from 6 months to 13 months, depending on how long they're going to be in Afghanistan or Iraq right now, which is fresh in our mind. And then you get used to that military routine. Get used to the military routine for 6 to 13 months. The same unit, the same group, just routine, day in and day out, 24 hours a day. The civilian side, they're just waiting for a call. And the police officer is sitting under a tree, sitting in the firehouse, waiting for the 911 call to come, and watching their fire trucks. Police are on patrols, and then they respond to a call when they go to their missions, and then they have obviously various shifts that they have. So like a unit, they belong to that one shift, and this shift belongs to this group of people belong to that one shift, and then how long you're going to be with that unit and the time for your shift. So that's my comparison between the military side and the civilian side. All right, this is part of the downtime. Okay, this is you take pictures, you send it back home to your girlfriend, boyfriend, family, so on and so forth. So this is a Marine platoon. It's 1-8, 1st Battalion, 8th Marines. They're actually out of Camp Lejeune, and B is for like Bravo Company. Okay? And this is a platoon which is up to 36 men. And one of these are the corpsmen, somewhere in there. Okay, from downtime, all of a sudden, bam, you get a phone call, and all of a sudden you're reacting to this. So you're playing cards in the firehouse, sitting having coffee somewhere in the Denny's or IHOP. Next thing you get a call, and you have to respond to this. So. And the military side, the downtime on here is you go on your mission. Okay, the mission is like 50 miles from here, and then they get bogged down again because, hey, we have to clear the minefields in front of you, so now you sit around again. Or the intelligence changes, so you sit around again. And like the police officers, they'll go into a building. They have to find out where the person is they're trying to get. So you have to sit around for their intelligence before they go in, and they decide who's really going to go and how long and how many people. So it's just a big picture of everything's bogged down, and you dig a hole for your safety, and you take a power nap, and then wait for the mission to come again. So here comes some of these slides are graphic. So you guys, from this downtime, we're not doing anything so-called relaxing. Then you go into this mission. You go into the towns in Iraq, and then you You inspect for weapons and ID. You run into these type of injuries for the foreman. And then you go into the cities and you patrols. All right, now from all that experience from the civilian side to the combat side, now we're going to the PTSD and the myth and misperception of how white people get diagnosed with PTSD or suffer from PTSD. The first myth is sufferers are mentally weak, especially in the military side of the house. You know, you're supposed to be tough, no pain, no gain, so on and so forth. So if you happen to do in the questionnaire, you know, yes, which is like a positive for PTSD, or you have the signs and symptoms of PTSD, then you're gonna think that you're a weak person. People think, oh, he's weak, that's why he went to mental health. Another myth is everyone has some sort of PTSD, are not an average person because of the weak thing again. The next one is symptoms manifest immediately. So they think that as soon as you get in a trauma situation, that you're gonna suffer from PTSD, the signs and symptoms of PTSD right away. Sufferers are unstable and violent. That guy has PTSD, be careful because he might get violent, he'll shoot people, so on and so forth. Okay. Limited to a specific group. One treatment is needed. Once you report to mental health, you should be okay now. He or she has already been seen by mental health, so he should be okay. Therapy does not work. So if you go to therapy, it doesn't work anyway, so why even go? Sufferers are unable to function. So, you know, I was diagnosed with PTSD in 1993, and I finished my career in 2008. So you can function. And then recovery is impossible. And then sufferers are not victims, which is another. That's why they're trying to do like the. Is PTSD really a disability? Is it a disorder? Or what is it? They're trying to label it. But once again, D means dollar signs in the end. You know, the government, the VA has to spend money to combat that disability. And on here is a picture of a Marine that his wife sent back and says, I'm afraid, it's kind of faded. I'm afraid if you come home with PTSD, I won't be able to help you, and I don't want to lose you. And then most people think if you have PTSD, you're constantly in this position, then you can't function, or that position on the top picture right there. All right, understanding our warriors, why medicine-based approaches don't apply and pills and counseling are not enough. The veteran or the person that's suffering with PTSD, they're going to lose perspective, and then people are saying that of the scared stories. They're going to be like, if I listen to this person, they're going to tell me scared stories, and then nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to hear scared stories. And then the hideous tales, like, you know, like, let's say this picture right here. This guy, he probably didn't even register that person that's lying on the street there, because he's just focused on the mission. He's just going, and he just focused. So that's not, it's registered, but it's not in yet. So until later on, when he can actually process everything in his mind. And then OPSEC loyalty, that means if the doctor asks him, okay, you were in Iraq or Afghanistan, what did you do there? Well, I can't tell you. You know? So because they can't spill their guts and say, you know, like, this is what I did. So I'm not supposed to tell anybody until however many years from now. Okay. And then expectation, they're going to go to, like they say, the VA, and I say the VA because that's the majority of the help the veterans can go. Or if you're still in active duty, obviously you go to the mental health side of the house and the medical side. So you go, your expectation is when I go to these people, they're supposed to help me. So if you run into the wrong person, just like customer service in any other institution, be in this hospital or any hospital, you run into the wrong person, that gives a bad name to the whole facility. Like, well, I'm not coming back. This guy doesn't even care about me. He didn't bother to listen to me. So he or she will never return or come back. Okay. And then desire, understanding, or dread inflicting pain. They don't want to say like, hey, I did this. This is what if this guy is gonna, the Marine right there, if he's gonna describe what he just saw like that to his wife, or he doesn't want to do that because he thinks he's gonna inflict pain on them. And at the same time, it's painful to him. And then people will ask, he'll be scared to say, hey, did you guys kill anybody over there, or what actually happened? And they don't want to say anything about that, because it'll go back to the ritual inflicting pain as a whole. Any questions so far?
No.
Yes?
What if there's someone who readily wants to talk about that? Does that mean that they are still experiencing that PTSD? I mean, is there a flip side?
Yes. It's actually a, if they want to indulge and say what they're feeling, it's a big breakthrough. Okay? But what happens is, if the person that's listening is just, filing their nails, like, okay, you're the 10th patient I talked to about this, and so on and so forth. And then they can pick that up right away. That's why if you go to group, actually the veteran or the person that's suffering from PTSD, being raped or abused child or so on and so forth, they'll just sit there and listen. And what that person is doing is they're gauging everybody in the room. They're like, is this guy really legit, first of all? Because automatically you're going to compare yourself to each other. Air Force, what's the Air Force doing in Iraq? I'm a Marine, I was a, you know what I'm saying? So they're going to start comparing each other until they start hearing the stories that, okay, now I can relate to this person. Yes?
So are you saying that the person who's open to talking about it, are they closer to being rid of PTSD, or is it that they didn't experience it as deeply as the person who's quiet about it?
It's almost like person to person. Later on in the slide, I can probably clarify that question to you when I get to the slide. Any other questions? All right, now you're in that combat environment. Next thing you know, you need to come home. Well, the way you come home in the military side, either you get injured and you get shipped home back to either Germany or all the way back to Bethesda, back to your home state. Or you take leave, because they're out there from 6 months to 13 months, and some units you can take leave, depending on your unit, you can take leave for 2 to 4 weeks, or your wife is having a baby, hopefully they let you go and let you go back. And then from a combat environment, you're in a combat environment, next thing you know, you're in an airplane and you're back home in 15 to 24 hours on the flight back. So all of a sudden you're from this zone to Houston, Texas in 15 hours because you don't leave. And then obviously your deployment ends, so you go home. Now before you go home, like in the deployment, like, okay, you've been here 13 months, this whole unit is coming home. They're going to do a post-deployment screening. So you were screened before, you got questionnaires before you left, now you're going to get screened on the way back. So you're shipped out to Kuwait, because that's where they fly out of Kuwait. If you're from Iraq, they have a convoy, they helicopter you to Kuwait, and then they're going to give you a questionnaire. And then, so what's this questionnaire for? And they go, okay. So they say, have you been eating okay? Yes. Because they've been doing it for 12 months, then that's normal. Are you sleeping okay? Well, I sleep 2 hours a day. Yes. Yes. At the same time, it creates a false, it depends on how you look at it. It's a false positive or false negative for PTSD, because I've been gone for 12 months. I want to get home. If I say yes, I think they're going to keep me here. You see what I'm saying? Now, what if I did say yes, and then they look at the piece of paper and it says, okay, Quijano, Johnson, and Smith come with me. Then the whole unit is always saying like, what's wrong with them? Then at the same time, you know that I'm a Marine, I'm tough. You can't say yes in front of all your buddies and say, oh, they're weak. right there. You know the peer pressure thing? It's over. So then you say, no, 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 I'm going home. I'm just going to get on the plane. Okay? And obviously on the civilian side, the shifts end, they leave, or they're injured, obviously on the job, and they just drive home. It's a short journey, or they quit the job, and then leave of absence on that side of the house. All right, when you get home, you're going to go to, either if you're injured, you go into the hospital environment and you recover from your injury. So now you're in launch school because your leg up going up, you got shots, so on and so forth. Now they're going to try, the military is going to try to fly the family there while you're in convalescent. They're going to fly you there to meet you, to meet and greet you. If not, you come home, there's big parades in the local towns, like Camp Pendleton, Camp Lejeune, the Little Marines, that whole city will just come up like, hey, these big units coming back, they have parades and yellow ribbons everywhere, so on and so forth, to welcome them. Or you see a couple of 2 or 3, a dozen soldiers in the airport, people clap their hands and congratulate them. And then you try to go back into the military life if you stay in the military. You stay in the military life. Light duty means you have an injury, you still haven't recovered, so they put you on light duty, and you never want to say like, what are you on light duty for? PTSD. I was sent to mental health, and like mental health is taboo. If you're mental health, you think you can't function. You have big time problems. And then they separate you from the military, obviously, when you come home, if either you quit or due to your injuries. And then you go to a home and a non-combat environment. So you go from a combat environment to home, and depending which category you come under, the home part is how you're going to adjust. And then on the civilian side, obviously your support system is going to be your family, your friends, and obviously your corps workers, which is the same thing on the military side. All right, concurrent disorders that can happen when you come back in the military and civilian side. Now you're going to go into major depression, okay? Substance abuse. The big one is you self-medicate, either by alcohol or drugs, and then you get dependent on that. And then the bereavement, you're going to obviously memorialize your friends that have died, so on and so forth. You have marital discourse, either due from substance abuse. Okay? And this marital discord is, the thing about this is that I've been doing my own thing, 1 through 3 ABC for 13 months. Okay? We take the trash out different in the Navy and the Marine Corps than taking it trash out at home. So the wife has her own routine, taking care of the kids, is how I write the checks, pay the bills, so on and so forth. Now I come home, and obviously I'm the father, so I'm supposed to be in charge. Okay? I think that's a myth also. Right, so now he's going to try to, and plus he's trying to catch up. Most of you are fortunate enough to be a stay-home parent. My wife works, and I see it that when she comes home, she tries to butt in, to get back into the swing of things with the kids. And that's what we're trying to do. And you just bump heads. And that's what the majority of, then on top of the alcohol and so on and so forth. Now, if I run into my wife, I talk to my wife like, well, my wife is just doing her own routine, because her life hasn't ended, but mine ended already. My mission has ended, except I'm back home. So she keeps going. All of a sudden, I'm saying, the veteran is saying, like, she doesn't really care about me. She's not paying attention to me. Well, she still has to go to work and do the things that she's supposed to do. So now, he's going to go back to his buddies. That's where he's going to hang out, because that's who the people are listening to him. Okay? So that's when they start just breaking up, just going apart. And then you get antisocial behavior. Either people don't want to be with you because you're drinking too much, you're a drug abuse, especially in the military, zero tolerance on drugs. They're going to shunt you, they're going to push you away. Okay? And occupational problems, obviously you can't work any longer, either because you're antisocial, you can't, you always relate yourself to compare yourself to the other person. So you don't want to hang out with this person because if you say something, he doesn't understand you. He's not even listening to you, so I don't want to hang out with him. So like a loner kind of thing. And then spiritual problems, you're always going to question God. If you believe in God or higher power, you're always going to question Him because that's kind of like your last resort. Like, why is this happening to me? If there's a God, then He's going to make this happen. Okay. Questions so far? All right, now the warrior is saying, well, where can I get help? Like, I think I'm going to go to the VA. Okay. So the resources and expectations given to one enormous organization, which is the VA. I mean, it's just huge. Okay. Hospitals everywhere, clinics everywhere. And then supposedly their care is going to trickle down to the warrior. Okay. And then the thing here says the fox is the keys to the hen house. They create the policies, and then they're going to evaluate you. The same system is going to evaluate you, and the same system is going to treat you, and at the same time, the same system is going to compensate you for your disability. Okay? Now, one of these, if the veteran runs into one of these and he is not treated, he's not happy with one of these categories, he's not going to go back to that system. Okay? He's not going to go back to that system. So it's like the way it happened to me was, I'm about to retire from the Navy. So the Navy does your physical, and then you take all your disability, potential disability, and you go to the VA side of the house. And the VA doctors are going to screen those disabilities, red flags. They red flag your record. And then they're going to say, okay, we evaluated you, and this is what we found, so on and so forth. And then based on this is what we're going to compensate you with. And then, but the warrior is not like, why am I getting this percentage versus this percentage, so on and so forth. Because they're so inundated, the VA is so big and inundated, they don't have time to explain to them. You know? By the time they explain to us, it's so much red tape that either the warriors get tired, they get discouraged, and they're just like, I forget it. You know? And then how treatment availability is evaluated. First contact stops the clock. People think once you go there, your problems are solved. And then evaluation does not cure. So they evaluate. Well, I was already evaluated with the VA, so I must be okay because they never got back to me. Well, you're supposed to go back to the thing. And the big thing about this is, I'm gonna go over here in a few minutes, it's called avoidance. Okay, I think you have the signs and symptoms of PTSD, so you actually need to come back, and we're gonna send you to mental health and then evaluate. Then I'm thinking to myself like, no way, I'm not PTSD. Are you crazy? There's no way. So then the doctor, then they're not gonna call you. The system is so huge. So they'll just like, there's nothing wrong with me until you get arrested for DUI, you know. And then the root cause is PTSD.